Alright guys, such comic again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying all day. So far, OpTic takes us back in action today. They play FaZe this evening as FaZe look to get back-to-back wins to get their campaign back on track. But lots of drama about this OpTic team over the last few days, especially Kenny talking all about what happened last season, the 0-18 run, how that totally collapsed and who was to blame for that predicament. Pred also calling out Shotzzy, maybe somewhat tongue-in-cheek, and saying, look, with Mercules on the team, you can do whatever you want and your comms simply are not good enough. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Just quickly on Shotzzy, actually, he was showing this off here on the exposure. I think with Simp, people do this a little bit before, but nonetheless, to make this play in this way, to, you know, throw the stun and to make this all happen, definitely one of the plays of all time. You can actually get back in the combat area with plenty of time to spare anyway. So, yeah, good couple of clips here from Shotzzy, not just on the exposure, but also here on the den. Like, look what he's doing here on the den. Couple of wall bangs, gets the seconds, gets the third, bounces off the wall, nearly gets the fourth as well. So this is what Shotzzy's up to over the last couple of days. The movement is no question. The communication, Pred has some questions about. Now, Birmingham's coming up in a couple of weeks' time, the first UK event in, what, 7 years almost, I guess, 6 years since the CDL one in London at the start of Modern Warfare 19, but that wasn't as good as the one before in, of course, Black Ops 4, that was at the Copper Box in 2019, middle of 2019. As we know, two teams won't even go, and it's just worth quickly recapping the way that things look in the standings. So OpTic in the number 1 seed for now. They will likely end as the number 1 seed as well. I guess time will tell. They're 6-0. Thieves now 4-2. Gentlemates, they need a bounce back tonight. They're 3-2. They play G2. But we've already got a ton of teams on 3 wins. Now, where you want to be is first, obviously, but where you want to be 6th or better. Because if you're top 6, then it guarantees you start in the winners bracket. The 7 through 10 teams, they are in a play-in, and 11-12 don't even go. The reason for this is because DreamHack, they had set dates, they decided to do a whole round robin of qualifiers, and as a result, they decided, well, it's only a 3-day tournament in DreamHack, so it makes maybe sense to say, oh, we're making the qualifiers really important, and some teams don't get to go, and I'm sure that Cloud9 are pretty happy they don't have to budget for the travel and expenses. Cloud9, they are not going to be there. I have a very tough time believing they can get another win or 2 that they might need on the board. We'll just quickly have a look at Cloud9's upcoming games here to see who they've got on the horizon. Boston, that's a huge game. If they want to win one, it's got to be that. They then play Toronto, Thieves, Ravens, Vegas. That is a tough road. Obviously, it's a tough road whoever Cloud9 play. Boston, they are maybe one of the other contenders for Cloud9 as to be one of the teams that could also go down, but they get the Cloud9 Bowl next. So assuming they win that, they'll get to 3 wins. That will put them in a pretty good spot. Surge, they got the Cloud9 dub yesterday, so congratulations. But also Surge are definitely still the favourites to be the other team that doesn't go to Birmingham right now. Those are the 2 weakest teams. And with FaZe getting to 3 and 4, they now look like they're in a much stronger position, and they've still got the Cloud9 match to play as well later in the stage. I think it's their final game off the stage. So yeah, still FaZe getting to top 6 guaranteed when there's lots of other teams in that mix. That is far from, you know, far easier said than done. What are there, 5 teams at 3 and 3 right now? That is pretty interesting going for these first few weeks of the qualifiers. Just to quickly mention on the Heretics, because they got a 3-0 dub yesterday against G2. It was close, but they won all 3 maps. Super has, I mean, we'll just look quickly at Super's numbers again, because, again, I do have questions on the play style of this team. As much as you might look at Metals and say, damn, he needs to get a kill sometimes, he is on life support, like with how much these boys send him out to die first. But look, if it works, right? Super finishes the series with near enough a 1.6, Wrinkle with a 1.2. So yeah, fair play. These guys have been slamming the overs, but equally, is it going to work on a consistent basis? Good question. ReeaL was in the replies here and says him. And I just thought this is kind of interesting. Now, of course, they were teammates last season, but ReeaL left to go to Toronto after all the drama. He got offered more money to go to Toronto, but he had a verbal agreement with Heretics that he broke. And I'm sure there were some on the organization not so happy about that still, but Super was in the replies and kind of points back at him or whatever. Just find it a little bit interesting because ReeaL is now free again from Toronto. Clearly, it wasn't working on that team. He's not going to be back there anytime soon. in a world where Heretics continue having similar performances to this, but just don't win the series, you know, would they think about minus metals plus ReeaL? Could they bring him back? They could. Would they is, I think, a slightly different question. I think it depends how Heretics get on, certainly at the major. But yeah, they once again are at least a competitive force in the Pro League. This was also interesting, speaking of Heretics, really. Top 5 ARs in the league right now. So Formal and Dashy were talking about it. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's Mercules number 1. I think I'm probably putting Scrap seconds. I know that the team hasn't been that good, and even Scrap individually hasn't been as good as previous seasons, but I still think Thieves are up there in the power rankings. Scrap has been their best player, so, you know, the impact he has, I think is still pretty undeniable. It's HyDra who really has the key questions on him this season from that dominant, in theory, superstar duo. So I think I'm probably giving it to Scrap. Then I think I'm taking Dashy now. Like, on recent weeks, I think Dashy's 3rd. Maximum, he's like 4th, I would say. Sib, would you still put him in the conversation? Based on the LAN, I mean, you absolutely have to. I think that's justified. The last couple of weeks online, though, have been far from pretty, so maybe you put him further down the list. Celium is, for some reason, still being talked about. I do get it, right? Like, fair enough, I don't know. Cell's still kind of that guy, but also he's not been doing that well. Falcons aren't that good. So I wouldn't put Cell in the top 5 right now, personally. I would take Abuzah, definitely. I still think Abuzah gets a little bit underrated, to be honest, with what he's done for FaZe so far this year. And then you've got to consider Rencor, right? Is Rencor here as well? Is he here instead of somebody else? He's been playing, I mean, maybe you can argue super, but like, I think Rencor's been very good. Could arguably be on this list too, but again, people might say, well, is he playing for kills? Is Metals, you know, the absolute bait man, which he is a lot of the time anyway? Maybe there's some truth to that. So that's a theoretical top 5, 6, 7, depending on your perspective. There was a lot of talk about that FaZe team, right? We mentioned it yesterday on the stream. Trey mentions that Alluka is getting his work visa. Actually, I think it's already sorted. So they are ready to go FaZe if they want to make such a decision. Scump and Hex are actually debating the FaZe decision, what they should do. Hex was more keen to pull the trigger. Scump's like, look, the team's having a bad slump. It is what it is. They can get out of it. Ake says, I don't care what you think about, they've got to make a change, because yeah, Octane was talking about it and says that clearly, actually we'll come to this clip in just a second, but Octane was like, look, 0-4, he would be the player to drop. And even yesterday, they won the series. They did a good job winning the series. Thieves squandered a couple of situations they probably will feel like they should have won. And 0-4 had some decent maps in there, but it's not like he ended the series with, you know, 1.2 masterclass. So things continue to go the same way. They continue to struggle. You can certainly see the logic to be like, okay, maybe 0-4 is the man who we part ways with. Ake says, you don't, even though you won, you don't wait any longer. Just drop him now, make the change. And I don't know, I think there's a good chance that Alluka gets in there at some point, because, look, there are other options that you could sign as a sub player, but they've paid money for Alluka, so it's pretty plausible that they will want to at least try him in the roster if they decide to make a move. Today against OpTic, it's going to be difficult to judge if they get slammed. But regardless, if they do well, all of a sudden it's great. And I think my point was, if they beat OpTic today, fantastic. Great for 0-4, great for Drazah, the CEO, right? But if they lose to OpTic today, then it's kind of tough to read into it, because you come out the weekend saying, well, we beat Thieves and lost to OpTic. That's fine, right? Running into the major. And also, there is, you know, runway with teams to get better and to improve. So that's the FaZe debate. But OpTic also had their own fair share of drama over the last couple of days, certainly with Kenny turning the stream on. Preb was talking about Shotzzy and says that, look, Mercules is just so good that you don't need to call out, you don't need to do anything. I think, like, Shotzzy's comms are perfectly functional. He might not have the best comms in the league, and there is an argument to say that Mercules has been such a bailout in all regards for OpTic, which at times this year has probably been true, but I think as of late, they just, as a team, have become particularly well-rounded, arguably much more so than the Falcons. But Kenny was talking about the 0-18 run, why it happened, and I know that people will hear this clip and say, oh, well, here goes Kenny again, not taking any accountability. It's never his fault and all this. I don't know. Kenny has taken accountability. I think maybe not as much as some people might like or whatever, but Kenny also dropped himself in the team. Let's not forget that, right? Like, he did say to the team, look, I'm not playing well. The team's in need of a change. So he kind of made the call to step away and the team agreed. So, you know, obviously there was that part of it as well, but it is worth keeping in mind that, yeah, Kenny with the Huke stream, that was debatable for sure when he was talking about some of the plays that Huke was making on the map. But after his stint, I think Kenny's recognized, yeah, I wasn't playing great, and that's okay. And also, I don't think Kenny's necessarily wrong. The bottom line is, if people will say, well, if Kenny had more than a 0.6, and people like to pretend that Kenny had a 0.6 literally every single series. He did have more 0.6s than he should have done, right? But my point is that, yeah, Kenny wasn't playing well, and that was leading to the other players probably trying to do a bit more to compensate. That's true, but equally, the team as a whole was just so uncoordinated and not playing well enough together. You know, if you're going to go with that amount of talent on an 0-18 map count run, there's more to it than just one player. So yeah, Kenny effectively just talks about here how they were all over the place. They didn't know what each other were doing on the map. They weren't playing well as a team, and it's incredible how much difference a 12-month period for OpTic fans can make.
Sam, we'll start with you. I mean, what would you do? I mean, would you do it now? Would you wait? I mean, what do you think? I would wait. I would wait.
I'd probably wait till Major 2. I think I'd wait till Major 2 and then go from there. I think that 04 is the clear player on the chopping block as of now, which he had a good series today. He had his moments. He played really, really well in the Blackheart specifically, but I think he's definitely the first one on the chopping block. But I'd give them until the Major. I think before then, like, they played really well at Major 1. Could that be a one-off potentially? We don't know. Like, if Zach or Abuzah show up and they play how they did on lane again, and like if 04 is still struggling going Major 2, then like maybe we could have that conversation. But I think that you at least wait until the event. I don't know.
That also fucks up the motherfucker hill. You feel what I'm saying? So now we all fucked up because Ant should be middle. Brandon should be in the hill, but should be on this side of the hill. You feel what I'm saying? Like that's where our flow is just off. You can tell the whole flow is just off because now we're just guessing. Like, boom. So then here, one more dark. I said get ticket AG because now Ant doesn't have middle. But now I think right here, Ant like over tweet that now I think Ant is like too focused on this guy because then now look at A. A just hits L and then he breaks the L, I'm pretty sure. See? But ReeaL would have already been like Ant should be where ReeaL just was at.
Shotzzy's a fucking idiot. Shotzzy doesn't even call it out. He has Mercules. Have you heard Shotzzy's comms? Doesn't say a fucking word. He doesn't say a fucking word. He pops Daddy and starts running around. Kill them off the hill. We're gonna lose the game. You're fucking 27 and 27. Wake up.
These are the games then coming up today. Gentlemates play G2. Really big game for honestly both of these teams, right? G2 after losing to Heretics yesterday, they would like to have a nice bounce back series. Gentlemates feel vulnerable. They've not had a scrim this week against a pro team after Sib snaked against Cloud9, a series which they lost. So Gentlemates, they need a bounce back. I mean, I can easily see a G2 Game 5 win here. It's absolutely possible. Gentlemates are going to be the favourites. Probably, yeah, they will be the favourites, obviously. But I don't think it's a clear-cut series by the means. I think this is kind of more of a 60-40 Gentlemates or maybe 50-50 with a Game 5 dub for G2. OpTic FaZe, the banger. I mean, look, today's a great day on paper, right? OpTic FaZe, always going to be entertaining. OpTic should handle business. It doesn't massively matter for them, but, you know, they will want to make sure that FaZe, well, it depends, right? If you lose to FaZe, maybe they stick with their roster. Maybe you want 04 to stay on FaZe and not make a change. I don't know. But it might not be a biggest deal, but it's always exciting to see Drazah play OpTic and how that might go. Toronto Falcons, very interesting. Falcons have, well, not been so good this stage. Toronto have won 9 straight maps. They've 3-0'd their last 3 series. Can they do it again? Not impossible if Kips keeps playing as he has done. And then even Cloud9 Boston's pretty important in terms of what it means for the rest of the stage. Cloud9's only chance of making it to Birmingham is to win tonight and potentially win big. Just to let you guys know, tomorrow morning at like 4 AM my time is the first Formula 1 Grand Prix of the season because it's in Australia. That means that tonight I have a couple of decisions to make, whether I make a video or not. More than likely, I will just go to bed very early tonight and get up for the Grand Prix, and I'll make a video recapping all of this tomorrow morning, as I have done on occasion. That's the more likely outcome. If I happen to be up late, then yeah, we'll talk about things. But regardless, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
God, you're copying me everything. They kill me. After this game I will leave, I swear to God. I swear to God, I swear to God, wallah. Don't say that, bro. Stop being weird. Shut up, shut up. Stop being weird, bro. Stop being weird, you're so weird. Layla, come on. Oh my God.